On the night of April 22, 2025, a home became a hunting ground. 16-year-old Heloísa Alen Castro was violently snatched from her own bedroom. Mere hours later, her body was discovered dumped at the bottom of a deep well, her hands and feet bound, bearing the brutal signs of a savage and premeditated attack. This is the case of Heloísa Alen Castro, a story of betrayal so profound it reveals the monster was already inside the house. Hey everyone, welcome back to Life in Frames. In today's video, we're diving into a case that shook the city of Cuiabá, the capital of Mato Grosso. To be honest, I was completely horrified when this story landed in my suggestions, and after uncovering the details, I knew I had to bring it to you. This isn't just a true crime story. It's a chilling lesson in the darkness that can hide behind a familiar face. So, let's get into it. Heloísa was 16 years old, living with her mother, Suelan de Alen Castro Arruda, in the Morada do Aro neighborhood. Described by her family as a cheerful dreamer with a bright future ahead of her, she was a well-liked high school student who loved spending time with her friends. But her home life was complicated. Her mother was in a new relationship with 40-year-old public official Benedito, and while the relationship was fresh, it was already fraught with frequent arguments. Living under the same roof, Heloísa never could have imagined that her mother's partner would become the architect of her nightmare. The motive for this heinous crime boils down to one thing: blinding jealousy. It all started when Benedito discovered messages on Suelan's phone from her ex-husband. The exact content was never revealed, but it was enough to send Benedito into a vengeful rage. He didn't just plan a crime of passion. He orchestrated a cold-blooded execution, plotting to murder both Heloísa and her mother as his ultimate act of revenge. Commissioner Berry stated that Benedito even recruited his own 18-year-old son Gustavo to participate, knowing he would need help to carry out the double murder. But he didn't stop there. Benedito, an official at the Secretariat of Science, Technology and Innovation, Cecitec, also enlisted two of Gustavo's 17-year-old schoolmates. This dark family tendency was nothing new. Benedito's own brother was already serving a 21-year sentence for killing his ex-partner. On the afternoon of April 22nd, Benedito put his sinister plan into motion. He gathered the three teens and drove them to Suelan's house. Commissioner Berry explained that the plan was to stage a robbery to cover up the real goal, murder. Benedito knew Suelan was out and that Heloísa was home alone, likely doing homework or resting. His plan was calculated and ruthless. Kill Heloísa first, then wait to ambush Suelan upon her return. After setting the wheels in motion, Benedito, the government driver, left for a work call, abandoning the teenagers to carry out the brutal act. Around 6 p.m., the nightmare began. Heloísa was attacked inside her own home, subjected to a brutal beating before being killed by mechanical asphyxiation. Her attackers used charger cables to beat her and then bound her hands with those same cables. After the murder, Gustavo and the two teens called Benedito. They then stuffed Heloísa's body into the trunk of her mother's white HB20 car, drove to a wooded area in the Ribeirão da Lipa neighborhood, and dumped her remains into an abandoned well nearly 30 feet deep, covering the opening with a sheet in a feeble attempt to conceal their crime. Unaware of the horror that had just unfolded, Suelan returned home around 8 p.m. with a friend who was carrying a baby. Gustavo was watching from nearby while the two teens waited inside. When Suelan entered, she was ambushed and brutally attacked. The friend was spared only because she was holding the baby. Benedito had given the order to kill Suelan as well, but the teens lost their nerve and fled, leaving her severely injured but alive. What happened next was a masterclass in deception. Benedito returned to the scene pretending to know nothing. He rushed a bleeding Suelan to the Jardim Leblon Emergency Clinic, UPA. Security footage even shows Cuiabá's mayor, Adolson Brunini, who was coincidentally there, helping him wheel her inside. Playing the part of the concerned stepfather, Benedito then took to social media, pleading for help to find a missing Heloísa, a sham that would be exposed within hours. Around 10:20 p.m., police located the unlicensed white HB20 in the Ribeirão de Lipa area. Next to the car, they found the well, its entrance suspiciously covered. Upon investigation, they discovered Heloísa's body, her hands and feet, still bound. The fire department was called to retrieve her remains. As the news spread, the city was plunged into shock, and the hashtag Justiça por Heloísa began trending immediately. The investigation moved with stunning speed. That same night, supported by the VGM Mato Grosso program, police arrested 3 suspects. The first, a 17-year-old, quickly confessed and pointed the finger directly at Benedito and Gustavo as the masterminds. Gustavo was arrested at his grandmother's house, and he revealed the location of the vehicle. Benedito was detained at the municipal hospital while still pretending to comfort Suelen. The fourth suspect, the other 17-year-old, was captured the next morning. All confessed, revealing the crime was a premeditated act of jealousy orchestrated by Benedito. The lead investigator described him as cold and calculating, acting completely normal around Suelen, even though he knew Heloísa was already dead. The civil police classified the crime as femicide, robbery, concealment of a corpse, and corruption of minors. After his arrest, Benedito tried a desperate, twisted defense, claiming Suelen had asked him to kill Heloísa because she was gay and her mother couldn't accept it. The family immediately rejected this as a monstrous lie, stating that Heloísa had a loving relationship with her mother and that this was nothing more than a pathetic attempt to evade responsibility. Heloísa's funeral on April 23rd gathered heartbroken family and friends who described their loss as a pain that destroys and paralyzes. Suelen, still hospitalized, learned of her daughter's death only after the body was found. Mayor Adilson Brunini and First Lady Samantha Joris issued public condolences and renewed calls for justice. The public outcry demanded the maximum sentence for a crime of such unparalleled brutality. Heloísa was the victim of a calculated murder by a man she knew and should have been able to trust. At just 16, her life was stolen by revenge and pure cruelty. Her grieving family now fights for justice as a city tries to process the unimaginable. Benedito, Gustavo, and the 2 teens now await trial. If convicted, Benedito and Gustavo could face up to 30 years in prison, while the teens will be held only until they reach. Well, everyone, that wraps up today's video. Share your thoughts about this heartbreaking case in the comments below. I find it absolutely shocking. Sadly, we're seeing a disturbing pattern where stepfathers take out their anger on innocent children as a form of revenge. I cover many more real and fictional stories like this on my channel, so feel free to check them out. And if you'd like to support the channel, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss the next story. That's all for now. Thank you so much for staying with me until the end. Sending you a big hug, and I'll see you in the next